Now, the leader of the free world's cognitive decline was on display again over the weekend at a gun control event in West Hartford, Connecticut. The US president talked some gibberish about building railroads across the oceans, claimed to be doing great things in Angola, and then said God save the Queen and looked utterly confused about where he was and where he had to go after the speech.
Well, we're going to win and we're going to help. We have plans to build a railroad from the Pacific all the way across the Indian Ocean. We have plans to build in Angola, one of the largest solar plants in the world. I could go on, but I'm not. I'm going off script. I'm going to get in trouble. All right. God save the Queen, man.
This has naturally raised eyebrows, not least because Joe was indeed at the late Queen Elizabeth's funeral. Joining me now from Miami is the senior editor-at-large at Newsweek, Josh Hammer. Josh, why are so many in the US media incurious, uninterested, call it what you want, about the president's mental faculties? There's undoubtedly serious cognitive decline there. How can he even be considered a serious candidate for 2024?
Well, Rita, if you look at the current polling, a very large percentage of Democrats, it's a strong majority in most of the polling that I have seen, tell pollsters that they do not want Joe Biden to be the next Democratic Party nominee for president of the United States. I mean, holding aside even independents, most Democrats themselves literally tell pollsters that they do not want this man to be the nominee. And yet, as the case may be, he's probably going to be the nominee. I mean, look, at the end of the day, if you are the incumbent and you choose to run for re-election, in the current dynamic in American politics, when you have the power of the bully pulpit, when you have the power of all the governors and senators who you are constantly involved in transactional deal making with, it's very, very difficult to primary an incumbent president. But look, it's not a pleasant thing to talk about, but we have to talk about it. The man is very clearly senile. I mean, he is very, very obviously losing his mental faculties. And, Joe Biden, this is kind of the difficult part. Joe Biden, for a very long time, has had a gaffe problem. Even going back to when he wasn't necessarily palpably senile, back when he was in his 40s, 50s, 60s as a U.S. senator from Delaware, where he served for almost a half century or so. Even going back then, he had a habit of making gaffes. So I think what you see in American media now is when he's saying things like "God save the Queen," which is doubly or triply nonsensical. I mean, it doesn't make sense for any multitude of reasons. I think the inclination, the instinct for the American media is to just say gaff, 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 because we've been used to calling Joe Biden's various gaffes gaffes, but these are not gaffes. These are different. He is very clearly, he's falling downstairs. We saw in Colorado Springs, the U.S. Air Force Academy a couple weeks ago when he was handing out diplomas, he tripped. The man is not well. And unfortunately, America is not in a position where we can continue to roll the dice with someone who is so palpably in the throes of senescence.